Hello guys, welcome back once again to my YouTube channel, and we are going to see five more questions on Robbins review series of the first chapter of cell injury and adaptation. This is especially for students who are in the second prof, who are in the internals of nearing second internals, who feel that they have forgotten the concepts of general pathology. Let's do in a retrograde fashion. Let's see a question, let's apply them, let's solve them, and let's make our memory much more stronger in the conceptual understanding of pathology. If you're first time here, click the subscribe button, and if there any doubt, put in the comment box. I'll be more than happy to reply. Let's jump to the first question. So it's a 29-year-old person sustains a left femoral fracture in a motorcycle accident. Leg was placed in a plaster cast. After that, it was immobilized for 6 weeks. The diameter of the left calf reduced or decreased in size. The change in size is most likely to result of what? So when you have a plaster of Paris cast, I'm not going to be able to move the muscle or the joint. So that's going to be a disuse. Whenever you don't use an organ, automatically the organ undergoes atrophy. Atrophy is both reduction in cell number as well as cell size. Might be reversible, might be irreversible as well, right? So the primary reason here is must have been due to atrophy of the muscle. It's most likely due to disused induced atrophy, which is very, very common post-fracture. It is not aplasia because aplasia has no growth. The limb is not going to grow, especially after this insult, right? It's not something which is a rapidly dividing. Muscle is not something rapidly dividing. Aplasia might have been a concept good in bone marrow and other places, but not here. Definitely not dystrophy. It's not an abnormal atrophy. It's an disuse-induced atrophy. That's all. Definitely other two options are not the right answer, right? The right option is simple one, the option B, which is nothing but atrophy. Let's go next question. We have a beautiful image here, right? Let's look into it. Okay, fine. A 34-year-old obese woman experienced heartburn from gastric reflux for the past 5 years. You know what I'm going to talk about. Heart reflux, GERD, esophagus, Barrett's esophagus. That's what I'm linked to. Let's see. It might be right, it might be wrong, right? Eating after extremely large meal, she went an upper intestinal gastroendoscopy. Biopsy was done in the distal esophagus is obtained. Which of the following microscopic change is likely to occur? Like I said, this patient is having a reflux, that is GERD. When there's a GERD, there's going to be acid in the esophagus. Acid in the squamous epithelium of the esophagus will injure the esophagus. So by default, this squamous epithelium will change to something which will neutralize the acid production, which is mucus producing, or I can have a columnar epithelium. So this columnar epithelium will have goblet cells. That goblet cell is going to produce mucin production. That's the simple thing. The answer is undoubtedly columnar metaplasia. This is a very important learning experience. I didn't look at that image in an image-based question. I want you to do the same. Try to solve every IBQ with the help of an image. That makes your concept stronger. That makes your analytical skill of solving a puzzle or a clinical scenario easier, right? Now let's go to the image. Obviously, my job is to teach images, and I will definitely teach you the image, right? So if you look at the image, this part of the image where you can see multiple lining epithelium, multiple stratified squamous. Same time here, I'm seeing glands, columnar, not just glands. If you look at the glandular epithelium, you have multiple areas where there are clear mucin. That's your goblet cells. That's a classical goblet cell metaplasia, or your glandular metaplasia, or your columnar metaplasia, or the older term of intestinal metaplasia. All means one and the same guy, which is Barrett's esophagus. But we solve the question even with the help of it, right? It's metaplasia. Don't get kind of swayed by the option B. It's goblet cell hyperplasia. That's not the answer. It's metaplasia the answer. Definitely not the rest of it, right? Because goblet cell might be enticing for you to go and mark the option B, but option B is not the right answer. Option A, columnar metaplasia, is the right answer because it changed from squamous to columnar, right? Okay. Just give me a second. Let's go to the next question here. Okay, let's start. 11-year-old girl became infected with hepatitis A. Mild nausea for 1 week. On physical examination, showed her mild upper quadrant pain tenderness. Lab values: AST is elevated, ALT is elevated, bilirubin is also elevated. Which of the following is the most likely reason for the following change in the hepatocyte? So the question is very simple. Question is indirectly asking what will happen in case of an hepatitis and what will be the biochemical changes, reason for the biochemical change in hepatitis, right? It's undoubtedly your cell membrane defects, because only when the cell membrane, see, there's an hepatocyte, AST, ALT, everything is here. Once there's a rupture of the cell membrane, automatically they'll come outside and have an elevated liver function, right? So the elevated liver function, be it and look for creatine phosphokinase or your troponin I, troponin T, secondary to infarction, everything has the same logic. It's about the cell membrane damage. The cell membrane damage is going to make sure the cells or the intracellular contents come outside, and that's the reason for elevated AST, ALT level in this patient. Fine. Okay. Let's quickly go through maybe one more question here, and then we'll call it a day because I wanted to discuss this in detail. Might be helpful for us in a long run, right? A 50-year-old person experienced chest pain for the past 6 hours. The representative histological section is here. I'll look at the histological section soon. Okay, which are the following finding? Then it's clearly written there is no hemorrhage or inflammation, and the left ventricular myocardium is shown here. Which are the following conditions is most likely to produce this myocardial change? So if you look at this image, the classical finding is entire images. There is no blue nuclei at all. I don't have blue color here at all. When there is no blue color, it's a necrotic tissue. And most important thing is, there's no inflammation also. It's a subtle, now immediate necrosis. Even before inflammation can come inside, the patient has taken a biopsy. We'll read when you go to cardiac chapter, the postmortem appearance in MI. That time this will definitely come handy, but undoubtedly, this is a necrotic myocardium. Undoubtedly, it's a coagulative necrotic myocardium. And the reason for coagulative necrosis should have been an arterial thrombus. Right, ischemia, thrombus, that's causing MI, and that's a microscopic finding here. We discussed 4 questions here. If you have any comments, put in the comment box. I'll definitely have, I'm more than happy to discuss it. We'll discuss more like this every single day so that we'll revise in the retrograde fashion by applying a concept. See you soon. Till then, bye-bye from Dr. Anjit. Bye-bye.